So yesterday my Airbnb check-in was at 3, but I arrived in the area at like 1:32ish, so I had like an hour to kill and I was pretty hungry, so I found this like little cafe thing, like a 3-minute walk away from my Airbnb. And so I'm staying in like the suburbs of Tokyo, not like super far out, but not central. And when I arrived, the like train station was right by this like little market with some like old people selling like fruit and fish and stuff, and it was really cute. And anyway, so this cafe that I found, it was completely empty when I got there, and it was just like this old lady who welcomed me in and then quickly realized that I don't speak Japanese very well, but whatever. She was super sweet and super accommodating, and especially coming from staying with my family in Kushiro. Kushiro's like a really small city. It only has like, I think less than 200,000 people or something, and so it's very like countryside, suburban, and everybody's like very sweet and very, I don't know, just like wholesome. But like that was the same vibe that I got from this lady at the cafe. And like after I had my little coffee and meal and whatever, and I was paying, she was like asking if I was traveling alone, and then how old I was and all that, and she was so sweet. And as I was leaving, she was like, "Do you have an umbrella? Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm okay, thank you. Is the walk to the Airbnb far?" I'm like, "No, it's not far." And she's like, "Okay, be careful." I'm like, "Thank you." So sweet. Literally exactly how my family would treat me. And I just met her. It was adorable. So a very, very nice welcome to this solo leg of my trip, which can be nerve-wracking, of course. I'm watching sumo wrestling because I got this sumo wrestling hat. Oh, I got this hat and it's references a sumo move or something. And I've never watched sumo wrestling in my life. I just think it's cool. So I thought I should maybe watch some sumo wrestling. It's evening time after my first little solo day in Tokyo. It was nice. Very tiring. Today I went to a couple like more touristy areas. I went to, well, first I went to Ueno Park and then chilled there for a while and then checked out the shrine. It was nice going early because there were less people, but later on in the day, or I guess later on in the morning, I went to the museum and then people started showing up and then, but it was nice. The museum was nice. And then I went to Ginza to do some shopping and again, very touristy area, lots of people. And then I went to Asakusa, which is like one of the most touristy places. Like if you go to Tokyo, you check out Asakusa to see there's like so many like souvenir shops. It's very obvious that that's where the tourists go because the like souvenir shops are all like the most generic, most like Japanese, stereotypical Japanese type stuff that are sold there. So yeah, it was cool. I just wanted to go to those places to get to cross a bunch of shopping off of my list. I need to buy some gifts I needed to buy gifts for some friends and things like that. So happy to say that shopping is pretty much done, I think. Like I feel like I'm good for the next couple days that I'm in Tokyo, so that's a relief because going to like the shoppy areas can be exhausting, especially with all the people. Yeah, I much prefer, as I'm sure many people do, I much prefer when there are no people or just a couple people, you know? But yeah, anyways, I just got home to drop off some things and then I'm gonna go out again. I'm gonna go to the Tokyo Skytree station mall thing. I just got home and holy fuck am I tired. My legs, my eyeballs, okay, they're giving out. So yeah, hi. What did I want to say? I have so many thoughts that I have like throughout the day that I forget once it's time to talk to you guys. I wish I had the courage to whip out my camera in like the middle of a public space in front of people and just like talk to it. I feel like it would be easier to do that if there weren't so many other foreigners around and other tourists around. I feel like when you know nobody can really understand you, it's less embarrassing, or for some reason it is easier to be so forward about like filming yourself in public. But knowing that like some of the people around me are like from English speaking countries or understand English, yeah, I don't know, I'm shy for some reason. Like I'm trying my best to like not come across as a tourist, even though I'm like carrying a giant camera around wherever I go. I'm like not dressed at all like it's a regular weekday for me. I feel like because I'm half, I can pass as Japanese or pass off as like I'm just normal and I'm blending in and I'm living my daily life. I feel like like a couple instances today because I was like in a couple places that were heavily touristy and lots of tourists around, lots of English speakers today that I ran into. I feel like it's easier for me to kind of try and pass off as not understanding English or something. Like, for example, I was walking, somebody was like taking a photo of whoever they were traveling with or whatever, and then like I kind of stopped and then went to walk around, and then the dude was like, "Oh, sorry," and I just like kind of smiled and did the, you know, the Japanese. And so I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm like high-key introverted, maybe it's Maybelline, but yeah, I'm shy around other foreigners knowing that I'm a foreigner. I'd rather them not know. I feel like there is comfort in not exactly knowing the same language fully as most people here. Like, any conversations that I have with Japanese people, because I'm like very limited in my Japanese, is very like charming and cute and like short and whatever, with very limited vocabulary that I have to use. But like, if I need to conversate with somebody in English, then I'm like, you know, I get nervous. I'm not a social person, you know. It's sometimes hard for me to strike a conversation, especially I feel like when I'm in the mind state of like moving through this society somewhat anonymous, because I'm not from here, I don't live here, and I don't speak the language. So getting caught by other foreigners who can like understand me and I can understand them, it's like, no, I don't want it. It's just a weird thing that I've noticed. I feel like especially in Tokyo, because there's so many foreigners here. Yeah. That's the report for the night. I'm gonna maybe sketchbook, turn on some TV that I don't understand, and then pass the fuck out. To go to the National Museum of Modern Art. That's why I was around the Imperial Palace area. But turns out they're closed today. They're switching exhibitions, so I'm gonna go to a shrine just like a 15-minute walk away. Yeah, I don't know. This morning on the train, when I left the house, it was packed because it was rush hour, so like literally everybody was smushed up against each other. And I was thinking about what I said last night about there being so many people and so many tourists and how tiring that is, being around such big crowds and things like that. Sorry, I think I'm at the Science Center. So there's a couple people here. It's a weekday. Anyways. Yeah, so I was taking the train and it was very packed. And of course, you know, so many people on the train can be annoying and whatever. But I don't know. I was thinking about this when I was in Shibuya with Brandon and my other friends before we went to Osaka. And it was so packed because it was Golden Week. And we had our luggages and I was getting like flustered and frustrated because it was just like a lot. Yeah, Brandon was shopping for some shoes and I had a second to just like sit and watch people walk by and stuff, and I was trying to remind myself that like I'm the same as everybody's the same as me, you know, we all have we're all human, like we all want the same things, and
get happy and sad and feel pain and feel love and all that stuff. And yeah, I was reminding myself of that on the train this morning, and I wanted to revise what I said about the crowds in Asakusa and the other places that I went. That, like, a lot of people is a lot, but, you know, they're all just there doing the same thing as me. Seeing the places that they want to see, going the places that they want to go. So it helps reminding myself of that, because there's no justification in getting annoyed with people just doing exactly what you're doing, being places and going places. Yeah, just a thought I had and wanted to share as I cool off. Hi. What was I thinking? What was I thinking? Oh, there's someone coming over here. What do I do? I think I stole his spot. But yeah, I don't know, I keep thinking about, if you saw my Victoria solo trip video, that was that, and this is this. This is my second, like, solo trip, technically solo trip. Oh my god, there's so many sounds. I hope you can hear me. Get closer. Hi. But yeah, I think especially with trying to, like, film stuff and be like a nuisance, or I guess the people pleaser part of me is convincing myself that I'm being a nuisance by, you know, doing this, if there's anyone around. But, like, I know that everybody's too concerned with their own shit and their own lives to, like, even think about it for more than 5 seconds. There's so many ants. Just, like, there's, like, literally ants crawling on my camera right now. We'll deal with that later. But yeah, I don't know. The more that I think about it, the more I'm, like, trying to convince myself, or, like, that I'm reassuring myself that, like, none of this shit matters. Like, everybody's just going through life, and I feel like it's very much an ego thing, thinking that everybody's looking at you and everybody is judging you. Maybe they do judge you for a second, but that's all that it is. And it can't really hurt you beyond what you have going on in your own mind, I guess. But like thinking that anybody gives you more than a second of thought if you do something weird, as long as you're not actually like hurting anybody and like being as considerate as you can be, then it's like, fuck it. Yeah, it's gonna be a process, and I'm glad that, you know, I do these things and I go places alone, and I have these ideas of things that I want to do that make me uncomfortable, and yet I do them anyways. It is a bit of a struggle once I'm there, but by the time that I'm doing it or afterwards, looking back, I am glad that I did do it. You know what I mean? So yeah, some more thoughts that I was having. Okay, let's go. I gotta like shake all the ants off of my backpack and umbrella and shit. Hopefully none of them went inside. Alright. I discovered this beer when I was visiting with my family. Apparently it's my cousin's husband's favorite beer. When it's like ice cold, it tastes kind of like green tea-ish, called Kidding Green Label. Really yummy. I'm really glad that I took a chill day for my last day in Tokyo. I'm excited to go to Hakone. Hopefully there's not as many people there. Nothing against people, it just, it can be tiring, you know? I really do enjoy cities, I feel like, when I'm traveling with people, but when I'm alone, I think I prefer quieter areas, or like being able to be alone and, I don't know, less perceived, I guess. I think back to like, I don't know, like when I went to New York or Vancouver, you know, those bigger cities. I really enjoyed my time there, and I like loved those cities, but I was with people. Versus like, for example, when I was in Montreal last, I was with a friend, but most of my day was spent alone because she was going there for work, and so I would go off into the city and then kind of work on my own. And I don't know, I had less of a good time because I don't know, and I was alone in the city. And now I'm alone in the city, and I'm not saying that I'm having a bad time, I just am craving a bit of solitude here, you know? I feel like it's a lot to be alone in somewhere that you're not familiar with and being perceived by so many people. Even though, like I said earlier, like, nobody fucking cares, truly. Everybody who's seen me today has completely forgotten about me by this point. Maybe I'll change with time as I grow to be more confident in being by myself. But we'll see. That's the hope, I guess. So there's a bunch of construction going on in the background. I'm sure you can hear it. But yeah, not ideal. Anyways, I woke up this morning and it's my last morning in Tokyo. I take the Shinkansen to Hakone at 1:30 today. I gave myself this week in Tokyo because I expected that I would still be at my agency job, so I thought I would have to work while I was here. But yeah, I ended up not having to like really do much work at all the entire time I was in Japan, so that's nice. But also I had a lot of time to myself. and in Tokyo. It's interesting. I don't want to like generalize, and I don't want to pass judgment on a city that I've spent less than a week in total. But there's just so many people here, and I feel like the culture and like the air of like respect and politeness is very much like charming and appreciated and lovely. But I feel like, I don't know, like the difference from, so we stayed a couple nights in Tokyo, and then we went to Osaka back when I was with Brandon and Chan and Ward. And the difference in just like the vibe of Tokyo versus Osaka was completely different. Like on the trains in Tokyo, nobody's really talking. It's kind of like you're not supposed to talk, you're supposed to be like respectful and, you know, keep to yourself and be polite, or like, you know, be considerate of others and not like bother them by making any noise. But then like our first train in Osaka, after we got off the Shinkansen, there were people like laughing and conversating, and it felt just like way more chill. And that just kind of was the vibe that was maintained the whole time that we were there. And like, I don't want to say like Osaka's better than Tokyo or one's better than the other, but the vibe is definitely, it feels a lot more lax. Like Tokyo is kind of like a very polite, it feels like a very like polite, orderly New York. Maybe that's not right. Maybe that's not the right comparison. Just in that like everybody's busy, and I don't know what it is. Those are just the vibes. Those are just my observations that I found in the short period of time that I was here. And that's not to say like there isn't genuine connection here and genuine interaction and stuff. Like one good example would be that first interaction that I had with that lady at the coffee shop. I'm sure like a lot of it has to do with my introvertedness as well as everybody's introvertedness, you know? I feel like maybe Japan as a nation is like kind of introverted, or it's the norm to be introverted, maybe. And maybe Tokyo is kind of a stronger representation of that than Osaka. Maybe. I think. And like, I don't know. I feel like it's very easy to pass judgment on something with the air of one thing is better than the other, you know what I mean? And I'm trying to remind myself not to do that. One of the things that I really like about Taoism, or that I've read that I really like, is that comparison only exists with the opposite thing. Like you can't have beautiful without ugly, and those two things only exist because of the other. So without one, then the other is just nothing, you know? Things are just the way that they are, and everything is just made up, and everything is just, you know, everything just fucking is. Does that make any sense? So when I have a bias leaning towards liking the vibe of Osaka more than Tokyo, it's kind of based on my bias that I like extrovertedness and like chillness, and I find that more fun and more charming than introvertedness and politeness and like properness, I guess. And that's all coming from like me as an introvert. So maybe part of that is like me disliking myself for being introverted and wishing that I was more extroverted, which is very much a real thing for me. My camera is not picking up my face. Okay, hello. Hi. Okay, now we're exposed properly. It was like the focus thing was on the bed over here. Does it think that there's a face over here? I don't know. It all just is what it fucking is. There's like, obviously everybody's entitled to like what they like, but just because Osaka is a little more of a lax vibe than Tokyo doesn't make it better than Tokyo. It just means that it has a bit of a more laxed vibe, you know? Like, assigning these labels to things doesn't inherently make them better or worse. It just makes them what they are. So I don't know, I want to stress that. That just goes with everything, you know? Every place, everything, every person has their different things about them, and that's just what it is. And to say that one thing is more this or that than the other is just a comparison based on the opposite thing or whatever, you know? I don't fucking know. I don't know anything. I don't have any qualifications. I just have a camera and internet access. So. But I don't know, like spending time in Tokyo and Osaka, even spending like the week that I did with friends in Osaka was a lot. Like Osaka is still a big city and there were so many people because it was Golden Week. So of course that was tiring for me. But yeah, spending this time in these cities kind of on my own. Like I've never really been to Japan building my own itinerary and like being in charge of everything. Like I've always come with some sort of family or stayed with some sort of family. Experiencing these cities in this way makes me feel like, or makes me kind of reevaluate how I feel about visiting Japan. Like I feel like Japan, when I was younger, like the first few times that I came here, when I was like 14, I was still very much in like my weeaboo phase. I was like, wow, Japan! Ooh, anime! Like that. And like everything was just so like, I was just so like starry-eyed about everything. So I saw everything in like a kind of kira light. But you know, now coming into my like, or settling into my adulthood, I guess I'm 25 now. I've been an adult. Coming here, knowing myself a little more and being a little more, you know, past the phase of romanticizing Japan, and seeing these cities again, I kind of like want to explore more of the countryside and like maybe smaller cities the next time that I come here. So anyways, that's just what I've been thinking. The next time that I come to Japan, like don't get me wrong, I still love this country and I feel very connected to it and I love visiting my family, and yeah, I think it's a place that I just like feel right in a lot of the time, but that feeling comes the most in the countryside and in the more kind of quieter pockets of Japan that I've been so far. So I'm hoping that Hakone will be an opportunity to observe something closer to that on my own, and then yeah, we'll see how I feel. But I'm excited. Literally on the bus ride here, because you take the Shinkansen to a nearby town where the Shinkansen stops, and then you have to take an hour-long bus. And during the bus ride, like I teared up like 5 times, just like looking at everything. It's so beyond beautiful here. It's amazing. And like my room is so nice. I have a nice like forest view. Just like after everything, yeah, I was feeling overwhelmed with Tokyo, I think, and then now coming here and it's just like I'm just overwhelmed by how amazingly fucking gorgeous it is. And I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I get 3 whole days here. It was crazy. Like walking up to the ryokan where I'm staying, I have my 2 big suitcases because I have everything from my trip so far. Like I've been here for so long. So I bought a bunch of stuff, and anyways, my 2 luggages are fucking heavy, and it's raining out. It's raining. It's pouring. And I was just like trudging like this with my 2 giant suitcases behind me up a steep ass hill, because like Hakone is like a mountain town, so there's lots of mountains and such. And then I came here, and it's beautiful, and the onsen is really nice, and they don't care about tattoos here. So I think I'm gonna go to the onsen right now and take a load off and wait for the rain to stop, or whatever, decide what I'm gonna do if it doesn't. Oh my god. I'm so happy. This is great. Oh, and I realized I wore my slippers in the room. I'm not supposed to.
Excuse my hair. I'm like not even gonna bother styling it because it's raining outside and I have a hat. So if I go out, I'm gonna wear my hat. Yeah, it was so cute. I asked the guy, the like head receptionist guy, before I went to the onsen. I asked him if my tattoos were okay because, you know, in Japan, tattoos only just got legalized a couple of years ago, but still many onsen don't allow tattoos. And like, he was so nice about it. He was so cute. He was like, "Zenzen daijoubu," like completely fine. Like he was saying, I didn't make out like he was going on about something, but from what I understood, he said just like lots of foreigners come and it's like completely fine. Like blah 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 blah. He was like, he was stressing how fine it was. It was very sweet. It was just nice. And like, I don't know, I was kind of like my tattoos, I've been a little bit like shy about them on this trip so far, just because like it's kind of excessive. Like it's very much, it's in the style of tattoo that is associated with the Yakuza, and like, so some people might feel uncomfortable if they see it. So for the most part, I've been covering up. And yeah, what was surprising was when I was in Shibecha, which is where my grandma lives, which is like a tiny, tiny town in Hokkaido. The onsen there, we asked if tattoos are okay, and they were like, yeah, completely fine. And it was sweet. It was surprising, because it's Shibecha, right? And then like, when I was in the onsen, when everybody like could see my tattoos and everything, it was fine. And like, this like one old lady even had a conversation with me while I was drying my hair or whatever. And yeah, I feel like maybe there's a preconception that like, I don't know, everybody in Japan is like scared of tattoos, but there's a lot of people who obviously are open-minded and understand and know that just because you have tattoos doesn't mean that you're like a bad person. So that was, it was a nice thing to encounter for something that I was kind of like unsure about or worried about before coming here. So yeah.
Trying to do like a cool shot here. Yeah, what a day. What a day, I tell ya. I wanted to hit a couple other places, but I feel like the part of Hakone that I wanted to see today, or plan to see today, is kind of the least accessible by public transit. So there's a lot of like buses you have to catch and stuff, so I planned to like go a couple other places, but when I went to go get the bus for them, the bus was like behind from traffic or whatever. And so, yeah, I basically wasted an hour. I don't want to say wasted, but, you know, took up an hour just waiting for the bus that I needed. And so I just decided to head back to here. But yeah, I just took a shower. I just did onsen again. But it was so cute. There was like a girl in there that, I guess it was her first time in the onsen, and she was waiting for me to finish up because maybe she thought like it was one person at a time or whatever. And then so she was looking at the little board that was there that was kind of like explaining what you had to do. And then I was like, do you speak English? And I explained what you're supposed to do in the onsen. And yeah, and then she proceeded to like take her basket into the shower room and then change there, because I don't know, she didn't know that everybody gets naked in front of each other. So she will find that out once somebody comes in. But yeah, it was cute. She looked like a teenager, so I definitely was like that once. Still kind of am, a little shy, but now just a little more, you know, done stuff. So therefore, slightly more confident and able. Historic spot, or like a mini shrine on the side of this road. And it's funny, the pond is dry, but like we're right beside the ocean. Yeah, I decided to do a day trip to Manazuru today, which is like, I don't know, the closest town by the ocean to Hakone that I could find. So far, it's so frickin' gorgeous. The air smells like the ocean here. Every turn I make is just like another charming view, and it's great. So I'm at Kifune Shrine, and a bunch of people just pulled up in like black tuxes and black dresses and flowers, so I don't want to be like that one tourist that like shows up to a funeral. So I'm gonna skip this one. Sorry. Little fucking bugs everywhere. Can't be avoided. I guess they're just my friends now. They follow me everywhere. Yeah, on the walk over here, I was thinking about how I'm a little conflicted about visiting shrines and things like that. Like, I know lots of people do it and it's like, you know, socially acceptable or whatever, but when I go and I see people like praying and like doing actual things there, like people are buried there, people take care of their ancestors' graves there, and they like pray for themselves, and they like, you know, it's a very like real and very personal thing. And then me just going and like taking photos and things feels a little weird. When I do go, I try to be like as respectful as possible and try and like, I don't know, do the right things. You know, I'm a tourist, you know, and I'm visiting these places, so I'm trying to, like, I'm appreciating it, and I'm trying to be respectful about it, but also it's like kind of weird. Just trying to make the bed a bit for the shot. Hi. I wanted to have a little chitty chat before bed. I feel like on this trip, especially confronting myself being alone here, I'm kind of going back and forth, or like battling within myself a balance of like being considerate of other people while also being able to be myself. Being in Japan is bringing up a lot of like childhood trauma that kind of turned me into the people pleaser that I am today. And I guess that's just like generational trauma because my mom's like a huge people pleaser as well, and like my aunt, seeing her recently, like you can tell that she's also a big people pleaser. Like, we're a family of very considerate, very kind, very generous people pleasers. And I don't know, just like going around in Japanese society by myself, knowing all the things that, you know, my mom would get mad at me about growing up, like telling me this and that, and to be considerate about other people, or, you know, not to embarrass her by being inconsiderate or whatever. A lot of that is coming up, and so it's like wherever I'm going or whatever I'm doing in public, I feel like I'm leaning towards being extra careful and extra polite and extra considerate. And like, being considerate, of course, is a good thing, but there is a line to be drawn when you're like overthinking it or overdoing it, or it's getting in the way of you doing the things that you want to do. I feel like maybe an example is like today when I went to that shrine and there were those people there who appeared to be, you know, going for some sort of funeral or something, and then me just seeing that and then turning away and not even attempting to go to the shrine. As I was walking away from the shrine, I thought like maybe they're going to like the back area where the actual gravestones are, and it would be fine for me to go visit the shrine because the shrine is, you know, it's like publicly open, people visit all the time. So I'm sure, like, I don't know, the people attending the funeral wouldn't like see some tourist and be like, oh my god, I can't believe they're here right now, that's so disrespectful. Like, there's no way that they would think that. But I don't know, just like the way that I've been feeling here and how it has connected to a lot of my fears about disappointing people and people being mad at me for not being perfect. Yeah, I feel like that's like an example of how I've stopped myself from doing something that I wanted to do in the name of being considerate, or like overly considerate. And like, same thing with like talking to you guys. Like, even in my own room, I can hear other people talking, and it's not even that late right now, it's like 7. Like while I can hear other people talking, I wouldn't dare speak at full volume just because I can't imagine inconveniencing anybody like that, or like annoying anybody, or taking up space in that way. I don't know. It's annoying. And so part of me is like, I should just fucking do what I want and not care and whatever. And I feel like there's a balance. There's a way that you can, like, I don't know, take up space and do what you want to do and be who you want to be, while still, like, being considerate of other people and not hurting anyone. But it's tough when I feel like in Japanese society, there's a lot of, like, cultural things where, I don't know, if you go outside of the norm, or if you act slightly less considerately or something, then you'll be possibly judged for it. And you know me, my fear of being perceived in a bad way is just crippling to me. So yeah, I don't know. It kind of sucks that I am that way. Like, it's not, I'm not saying that I'm not having a good time out here. Like, it's very much, I'm very much able to enjoy myself alone, but being alone is making me, you know, confront certain things about myself that I have known in the past. But it's kind of lighting a fire under me to try and figure out how to eventually, hopefully, you know, not be so terrified of slightly inconveniencing another person. But I don't know, I'm like 99% of the time I know that it's all in my head and nobody gives a fuck, and I try to remind myself of that. But I feel like with these, like, links to my childhood and my mom kind of raising me with these ideals that she got from growing up in Japan, it's hard to be here and not feel like I need to overcompensate or be extra careful because I'm a visitor and because I don't know how it actually is here or what's actually acceptable. So, yeah. Anyways, she do be thinking. I feel like solo travel really makes you think about yourself and your place amongst others and such. So my last night, I sat down and wrote like a little journal entry in my sketchbook because obviously there was a lot on my mind, and so I just kind of wanted to get down some final thoughts on paper. So Monday, May 22nd, 2023, my final night in Japan. I wanted to organize my thoughts of this trip on paper as I feel like I have so many floating around, especially recently since I've been solo. I feel like being here specifically has kind of pushed me back into my shell after I've been working so hard back at home to come out of it. Something about being a visitor here and what it seems like, or what I've set myself to believe society is like here, makes it easier for me to just become a tiny version of myself, which is the opposite of what I want. And I'm asking myself why I see my introvertedness as such a negative, such a problem to be solved. I know that at the core of this, it's not Japan's fault that I'm frustrated about feeling anxious or isolated or shy here. The problem is that I have a problem with how I naturally am. It's hard to know when to accept myself and love myself for the way that I am, and when to push myself out of it for the sake of being the way that I wish I was. I feel like maybe solo travel or doing anything outside of your comfort zone will make you confront yourself and your self-doubt. I feel like it's a very common thing to try to distract yourself from yourself, do anything to fill your time and distract your brain so you aren't left alone with your own dreaded thoughts. I had hopes for this trip to be life-changing and freeing and empowering, and while it was those things in some ways, it also was lonely and anxious and sometimes stressful. Whenever something would go wrong or I was faced with some kind of disappointment, I would try to remind myself to just appreciate the moment and accept what comes. I feel like despite all the confrontation with the parts of myself that I'm still working to accept and love, this trip was still amazing, still beautiful, and I'm so glad it all happened in exactly the way that it did. The highs were beautiful memories that I can recall and feel warm about in the future, and the lows taught me a lot about myself and are just another part of life and its never-ending lessons. If I could go back in time and give myself some advice before going on this trip, I'd say to let go of any expectation. Any frustration or disappointment that did come was a result of certain expectations for life to go a certain way, and of course when it doesn't, in the way that life always tends to, the best thing to do is to just let go and accept what is offered, then go from there. Easier said than done, obviously, but each time I learn this lesson the hard way, it gets a little easier the next time to let go in the moment. But yeah, this was incredible. I'm so grateful for my time here, and until next time.